for you. Okay, let's have a look. So today, quickly, before we go through our next little bit of what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at just quickly revising what we did in our lesson on Tuesday. So in our lesson on Tuesday, we were looking at exponential graphs, and we're going to look at exponential graphs in more detail today. We're going to find their equations, and we're going to draw them. But for this one, I would like to know a couple of questions. So my first question to you is this graph increasing or decreasing? Is this increasing or is this decreasing? Portia, how do we read? We read from left to right. Remember, we always read from this side to this side, and we are going up. Okay, so we are increasing. We always read a graph from left to right, the same way we read a page in a book. Okay. Second thing I'm going to ask you is, what is the equation of our asymptote? What is the equation of our asymptote? Be very careful with how you write this answer. What is the equation of the asymptote? Beautiful. Yes. Beautifully written. Y is equal to -3. Beautifully written. Okay. What is the domain of this graph? So what are my possible x values? What is the domain of this graph? Yes. X is any real number, and that's the case for all exponential graphs. Okay. Last one. What is the range? Think about it before you write your answer. Think about if we are above the asymptote or below the asymptote, and then think about what that answer will mean. So think carefully and then track that answer in the chat for me. Okay, so the first thing we need to see is that, yes, Juliet, okay, our asymptote is -3 and our graph is above it. It's above the asymptote, okay? So that means our range is above, it's bigger than our asymptote. That's what that's saying. That arrow is saying that y is bigger than the asymptote. So it's above it. Okay.
Well done, everybody. Oh,
nice. I feel like we're making
awesome.
Good progress.
Nice job, guys.
Okay, last thing that I'm wanting from you here is that my equation is y equals a times b to the power of x plus q, and I would like my values of a, b, and q. Good luck. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yes, guys.
Okay, good. That's a good start, Kevin. Yes, guys, good start. Well, careful. Kevin, writing a maths exam on Monday is great. It means you have the whole weekend to study maths. Get your brain ready for it. Oh, I'm just going to write in what you've told me so far. So y is equal to a times b to the power of x minus 3. 2 weeks to study. I'm not jealous of you guys. I'm not jealous.
You guys are on fire today, so let's do this. Woo! Let's do it, guys.
Okay. Nice. So now we're going to start, and we're going to start with our y-intercept. So we're going to sub in 0 and -1, and we want to put that 0 where the x is so that that b becomes 1 and essentially goes away. So we're going to have -1 is equal to a times b to the power of 0 minus 3, which means -1 is equal to a minus 3. I'm going to move my 3 over the equal sign, and -1 plus 3 is going to become 2. So a is going to become 2. So we've got Q and we've got A. So if you made a mistake with A, then substitute in this A. Make sure you're using A is equal to 2 before you try and find B. That's okay, I understand. Okay, now we're trying to find B. So now I'm going to substitute in this point over here. So now I'm going to sub in 1 and 7. So 7 is equal to 2 because A is 2 times B to the power of 1 minus 3. I'm going to move that 3 over. So 7 plus 3 is 10, which is equal to 2B. Divide both sides by 2, which means B is equal to 5. And so our end answer is Y is equal to 2 times 5 to the power of X minus 3. And remember, we're not allowed to multiply those. We're not allowed to say 2 times 5, which is 10. We have to keep them as separate. You don't have to write a dot. If you don't want to, you can write a times sign. But we're going to have 2 times 5 to the power of X minus 3. Hopefully this brought back some memories from Tuesday and we're not completely lost. That's the hope. Easy, beautiful. So you were solving for A in this section over here when you sub in the 0 and -1. Zama, how can I help? You should get an option on your side to unmute. So I've asked you to unmute, and then on your side, you've just got to click the option to say unmute. There we go. Hi, how can I help? I'm not sure if your mic is connected. I can see your audio is connected, but I can't hear you.
I'll be talking to you just now. Let's fix that.
Now you can hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. How can I help?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got into, I'm sorry, I'm lost. Yeah, I'm so lost.
Okay. Were you in our lesson on Tuesday?
No.
Okay. So that's why you're lost. That's okay. So we did this on our lesson on Tuesday. That's okay.
Yes.
It's normal to be lost in this situation. So my advice is you need to watch the video that's on the website because that will explain what we're doing here. For the rest of the lesson, we're going to be working on the stuff that we're doing today and you'll be fine. But this is just recapping what we did on Tuesday. So if you weren't here on Tuesday, it makes very much a lot of sense that you're feeling a bit lost, and that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Don't panic,
thank you.
okay? Don't stress. You can watch the video and you will be fine.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's keep going, guys. Let's see how we're going. Oh, good. I'm glad you were able to see where your answer was. Yeah, good. B is 5. That's great. B is definitely 5. That's nice. Okay, cool. Let's jump in what we're going to deal with today. Oh, sorry. Does anyone need a screenshot?
Screenshot.
Yeah.
I was about to think the same thing.
I know I'm going to go down, and as soon as I get to the next question, I'm going to have, sorry, can you please go back up again? If you would like a screenshot, this is your time. This is your moment of glory. Take it now.
Take your screenshot.
Okay. All right. I'm moving down. Okay. So today, I've written sketching hyperbolas. I keep on writing the wrong thing. What we're going to be doing today is we are now going to be sketching these graphs. Okay. If these equations look familiar, they were because they were from my mistakes a week ago when I was trying to get you to draw exponentials, if you remember. What happened to the b when we were solving a? So what happened to the b is that this was b to the power of, this was b to the power of 0 over here, and anything to the power of 0 is 1. And so it just becomes 1, which is just the same as saying 1a, which is the same as saying a. Yes, because when I was lying to you all, I was lying with the exponentials and the hyperbolas. So I'm getting like flashbacks now of my mistake. Anyway, we are doing exponentials today. So we are on the right track, which is progress. Okay. And what we are wanting to do is we're wanting to draw this graph. So I'm just going to quickly do this one with you as an example. I know that arrow's a bit skew, but we're going to accept it for what it is. I'm not going to discriminate against that poor arrow. Okay, we are going to try and break this up, and we are going to write all of the information that we need, which means we need our asymptotes, we need to write our points of intersections, and we're just going to sort of put it all in together and see what's going on. Okay, so this is an exponential graph. So the first thing that we want to do, our first step whenever we draw an exponential and when you draw a hyperbola, is basically we want to draw in the asymptote. That's the first thing we want to do. Okay, because it gives us an idea of where we're starting. Remember that this value over here is our asymptote. Who can tell me what an asymptote is? What is an asymptote? You can either write it in the chat or you can chat out loud and tell me what it is. What is an asymptote? Okay, yes, it's the friend zone. Why is it the friend zone though? What does it mean to be the friend zone? You don't touch it. Good. Okay, you get really, really close, but you don't touch it. You don't go past that line. We're in the friend zone. Okay, so we're going to draw in our little, exactly, don't touch, don't cross. Good. We're going to draw in our little asymptote. Our asymptote is -1. So if you ever land up having someone in the friend zone and you don't want to tell them they're in the friend zone and they're not in these lessons so that they don't know what that is, you just tell them that they're an asymptote and they'll never know what you're saying. And you know that you've told them, so it's fine.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I give you permission. Okay, so my asymptote is y equals -1, and so we're going to draw that in. Okay, that's our asymptote. That's step 1. Cool. Step 2 is we want to have a look, and we want to see if our a value, so in this case our a value is 1 because there isn't a number before that. Okay, it's just a positive number, but basically we're wanting to look to see if anything in front over here is positive or if it's negative. Okay, so we want to see if a is positive, then my graph is going to be above the asymptote, and if a is negative, then my graph is going to be below the asymptote. Okay, so now in this case, if I'm looking at this, if I was rewriting this as an a and b, it would be y is equal to 1 times 4 to the power of x minus 1. So my a value is +1, which means my graph is going to be above the asymptote. Oh my gosh. So if I was sketching this, if that's my asymptote, my graph is either going to go like that or it's going to go like that, but it's going to be above my asymptote. Okay, so this is just indicating where our graph is going to be. So if a is positive, it's above the asymptote, and if a is negative, then it is below the asymptote. That's just for us to know. Okay, then we need to find our points of intersection. So let's start by finding our y-intercept. That's always a good place for us to go. So y-intercept. How do we find a y-intercept? No, it doesn't matter at all which method you use, as long as you can draw the graph. Remember, you get no marks for working out. You only get marks for your graph. Canva, yes.
Let me make the x equal to 0, ma'am.
Oh, good. Okay, I make my x equal to 0. Excellent. So I'm going to have y is equal to 4 to the power of 0 minus 1. What is 4 to the power of 0, Canva, while I have you on the line?
It's 1, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so that's the same as saying 1 minus 1, which is 0. Correct?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So my coordinates are going to be 0 and 0, which will be that point over there. And once we found those coordinates, we want to write them out. So we're going to say 0, 0. Always label whatever coordinates you find. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that I can make my y value 0, but I'm going to get the same answer. I'm going to get 0, 0. Okay, because this is saying when x is 0, y is 0. And when y is 0, x is 0, which means both my x and y intercept is 0, 0. Okay. I now need to find another point on this graph. I need to have another point. So some people do this the table method, but basically I just need one other point that's on this graph. I need to find an additional point. Okay. And so the problem with finding the x-intercept is I'm going to land up back here. I'm going to land up as 0, 0, because that is both the x and y-intercept, because it's 0, 0. If I'm wanting to find an additional point, I know that this caused a little bit of confusion all the way back when we were dealing with the parabola. But if I want to find another point on this graph, all I have to do is choose a value for x and then get its y value. So I can choose whichever value for x I want. Okay, so let's say that I chose a value for x of 1. Okay, so let's say let x equal 1. We're choosing that. That's choice. Okay, you're choosing what x is equal to. If x is equal to 1, then my y value would be 4 to the power of 1 minus 1. 4 to the power of 1 is 4, so that's 4 minus 1, which is 3. So what we're doing here is we're saying, well, my coordinates at that point is when x is 1, y is 3. And that I can plot. So when x is 1, y is 3. You could have substituted any value in there. If you had made x 2, then it would be 4 to the power of 2, which is 16, 16 minus 1, which is 15. So then my coordinates would have been 2 and 15. So whichever value for x you want to put in there is fine. Now that you have 2 points on this graph, we can just join them together, okay? And we can see that that's going up, which means that this part over here is the part that's going to get really, really close to, oh goodness, to our x. There we go, to our asymptote over there. And that would be our end answer. So where I said let x equal to 1, I'm saying you can choose any number there. So you could say let x equal 2, let x equal 3. You can choose. This is a choice. Okay, you're choosing what that is. It's just you're choosing a value of x to get its y value so that you have a set of coordinates. That's its only purpose. Juliet, how can I help?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You said let x be 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you subtracted the 1 from 4 and it gave you 3. What I'm asking is, where did you get the 1, the positive 1?
I'm choosing that. I'm choosing a value for x.
Oh,
If we make x 1, it's always the easiest option. But you can make x anything you want to make it. But if we're making x 1, then that number just stays as it is, because 4 to the power of 1 is just 4.
Oh, so we can't make it negative 1, like the one that is
you
1.
You could make x equal to negative 1. It's just that then you're going to have a fraction, so it's going to get ugly.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Sure. So like Yolanda has said in the chat over there, making x equal to 1 is always your easiest option. Unless you're dealing with a fraction, in which case sometimes something else is a bit easier. But you could use anything. You could use 6. You're just going to have a very, very big number if you make x equal to 6. Because remember, that means if you were saying x is equal to 6, you're saying 4 to the power of 6 minus 1. So you're going to have a very big number. But you can make it whatever you would like it to be. You just want to get a set of coordinates. It's 100% fine to use the table method. If you'd like to use the table method, definitely do the table. Do whatever you're comfortable with. Does anyone have any questions about what they are currently seeing on the board? This is your time to ask, because the next one I'm going to give you, I'd like you to try by yourselves. So anyone who has any questions, this is your time. You're welcome to ask.
We added, guys, take screenshots.
Yeah. Okay, I'm assuming we're good then. Okay, cool. All right. I would like you to draw this graph for me. I would also, at the end, we're going to talk about a couple of things with it, but the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to draw it. So everyone give this a go. Make sure you are drawing your axes. Start with writing your asymptote. And then we're going to sort of discuss a few things about its features.
Let's go, guys. We're going to be fine. Doing really well.
So think about where to start and then just start plotting away and see how it goes. The quiz today is all on exponentials. So all exponential graphs. You'll be fine. Oh, I love how you're chucking in your range there already. This is the last week of functions. So this is our last lesson on functions. We have to move on to trig functions next week, Tuesday. But we're going to still have lessons during your school holiday. And in those lessons, I'm going to do revision of some topics. And one of the topics will be functions. We're going to do a whole bunch of function questions. Good. Your asymptote is 8. That's good. Oh, great. Well, if you're starting trig graphs next week, we'll be starting them at the same time. We will be doing analytical geometry next term. I promise I'll make trig functions fun. I love trig functions. Okay, but Juliet, that means that you were able to do step 1 and 2, which is great. Yeah, there's going to be classes throughout the holidays, so they're going to go throughout the whole year. So the classes that happen during the holidays, I'm just going to focus on things that we've already done, but sort of look at questions in a different way. So look at them the way that they more asked in an exam setting. Tariq, trigonometry is the best section. Okay, let's go through our graph. First things first, we need to draw in our asymptote. So our asymptote is over here. Okay, so that's when y is equal to 8. Don't forget to label it. Okay, as soon as you draw it, you need to label it. Okay, then we have a look here. Our a value is negative, which means that our graph is going to be below our asymptote. So we're definitely going to have something that's happening down here. Okay. So revision on everything that's happened so far is all on the website. So all of the videos of everything we've done this year are on the website. So you can go through all of them in your own time when you get a chance. All right, next thing that we're wanting to do is we are wanting to find our intercept. So we found our asymptote. The next thing we know that it's going to be below our asymptote. I'm now going to substitute x as 0 to find our y-intercept. Okay, so y is equal to -2 to the power of 0 plus 8. That means that -1, because remember 2 to the power of 0 is 1, plus 8 which means y is equal to 7. So my coordinates will be 0 and 7. Okay, so I'm going to find that 0 and 7. That will be up here. Now you've got two options. Either you can choose a value for x and get another point, or you can find your x-intercept. Now, because we always, whenever we draw a graph, we have to give both intercepts. It's in our best interest to find our x-intercept, because then we only have to do one piece of work. Okay, so we're going now, so this was finding our y-intercept. Now we're going to find our x-intercept, where we make y equal to 0. So 0 is equal to negative 2 to the power of x plus 8. I'm going to move that negative 2 to the power of x over. So 2 to the power of x is equal to 8. This is just an exponential equation. So 2 to the power of x is equal to 2 to the power of 3, which means x is equal to 3. So my coordinates will be 3 and 0, and that we can plot. 3 and 0. Okay. And then we just draw that curve in. We can see that this one's the one which is close to my asymptote. We've given all of our coordinates. We've got the 7, we've got the 3 and 0, we've given our asymptote. We're done. That's everything we need for this question.
You guys are doing well. You're doing well. Come on, you're doing well. I'm so proud of every one of you. As long as you have tried, now you can see the corrections and you can ask questions. You can put in the chat. You can chat to me directly. You're doing well.
Exactly. Okay, does anyone's graph look drastically different from this and doesn't know where they've gone wrong, or would like a little bit of help? Does anyone need some sort of assistance, or have those of you who have gone wrong, can you see where you went wrong? Okay, a Piwe, how can I help? So Piwe, you've just got to unmute on your side. Okay, so Zandisile, for this one, hold on, I'll come back to you, Zandisile. Piwe, how can I help? I just need you to either be closer to your mic or talk a little bit louder. Okay, so Tariq, the asymptote is always going to be whatever this is. So if that's positive, then our asymptote is going to be positive. And if it's negative, then our asymptote will be negative. All right. For this part over here, so I've seen some questions are coming in with this additional point of making x equal to 1. They forced our hand into doing that because our x and y intercept was 0, 0. There wasn't anything else I could find, and I needed another point in order to draw my graph. So they forced us to do this. We didn't have an option. We had to find another point. In this graph over here, my y-intercept wasn't 0, 0. So now because of that, I didn't have to choose a value for x. I could just find my x-intercept. If this part over here, if finding my y-intercept, if that's, sorry guys, if finding that y-intercept, if I get 0, 0, then I have to put in another point because I need to get another set of coordinates to draw my graph. If it's not 0, 0, like here it's 0, 7, then I can just find my x-intercept and I can get my value for my x-intercept. If you put in a value, so like let's say you did this. Let's say you said let x equal to 1, and so you would have had y is equal to negative 2 to the power of 1 plus 8. Then it would be y is equal to negative 2 plus 8, which means y is equal to 6. Okay, so you're saying, well, when x is 1, y is 6. You would have still gotten a second point and you could still draw your graph, which would be great. But the problem is whenever we draw a graph in a test or in an exam, we have to give the coordinates of both intercepts. So if we don't do this step over here, we're not going to get that x-intercept. I hope that explains. what some people were asking there. Does the x have to be 0? To find your y-intercept, yes, the x has to be 0. Yeah, it's okay if you made a mistake by the additional point. So all I'm doing to find x over here is I've made y equal to 0. So I've said 0 is equal to negative 2 to the power of x plus 8. Because it was negative 2 to the power of x, I moved it over so that it became positive, because that just makes it easier to work with. So I've got 2 to the power of x equals 8, which is just an exponential equation. I want my bases to be the same. So 2 to the power of 3, which is 8, which means my exponents are the same. So I've got 3 and 0. Georgia, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So, I was kind of confused. Will all the, I forgot, like, will all the sums, like y equals to negative 2x plus 8, will
Yeah.
it always look like this, even if it's hyperbola, parabola, or a straight line?
No, they'll all look different, because if it's a straight line, if it's like y equals 2x plus 4, then my graph is just going to be a straight line like that. If it's a parabola, then it will look like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
they'll
ma'am.
all look different. So it'll depend on what their equation is.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. No problem. Okay. Let's try another one, guys. Remember every time. Oh, sorry, it's brain break. See if you can get this quicker than my grade 9s. You are not allowed to cheat by using Google, which is what I found out some of them did, and I was heartbroken. No cheating through Googling. Okay. So sad.
Screenshot, guys.
Feeling very upset about it. So to do something a little bit different, it's not a maths riddle, it's just a normal riddle. And I want to know what the answer is. Give me your answers in the comments when you see it. Don't cheat, because you will be breaking my heart. You got to use your brains. Okay, here we go. You go at red, but stop at green. What am I? All suggestions welcome. Pop them in the chat for me. Oh my gosh, Yolanda, they're saying the same things. Guys, a robot, you stop at red and you go at green for a robot. It worries me about your driving.
You guys.
2 right answers though. I've got 2 right answers. There's another answer coming in. Yes. And hopefully none of you people who gave me the right answer cheated. I'm going to hope that you didn't. I'm just going to believe that you didn't. The correct answer here is not a car. It's not a traffic light. An irresponsible driver.
I'm gonna give that to you. That's a very, I don't know, that's very creative. You should have gotten like 1 out of 2.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, exactly. 1 out of 2. The correct answer is definitely a watermelon. It is a watermelon because you eat a menstrual cycle. What is green in a menstrual cycle? Oh my goodness. If there's green things happening in a menstrual cycle, then something has gone terribly wrong.
We really
It's
need
just
to see a
terribly
doctor.
wrong.
Yeah.
It is definitely a watermelon, okay? Because you eat the red and you stop the green. You eat the red, stop the green. Watermelon. That's why it's watermelon. Not a menstrual cycle, not a robot, not a car, not a person, not an orange, not an irresponsible driver. Just a watermelon. Okay. Some people eat the green as well. No. No.
The green.
I eat the white parts, but I don't eat the green parts. The white part's like my favorite part, to be honest. I actually think I prefer the white part to the pinky red part. I suppose it is pink. Well, it's like pinky red. Yeah, like there's like so like after the pinky part, there's that like white layer, and then you get to the green part. The green is protein, no man. Okay, I'm moving on. Okay, someone else likes the y part, so I'm good. Okay, let's give this one a try, guys. This one is a little bit nastier. I know because there's a fraction involved, but I want you to try and follow the same steps. So I'm going to write some steps over here for you and see if that helps. Okay. Step 1, we're just going to keep these steps nice and simple. You want to draw the asymptote. Okay, and the asymptote will be whatever that is. Next thing you want to do is you want to find the y-intercept. So basically you want to make x equal to 0. If the y-intercept is not 0, 0, then find the x-intercept, which means y is equal to 0. If the y-intercept is 0, 0, find an additional point by making x equal to 1. Okay. That's pretty much all you have to do. And then you'll be fine.
Those are really, really useful notes. They're helping me to draw my graph, guys. So let's use them.
Look at this rainbow pen. This rainbow pen is doing it for me. I'm just loving it. This whole graph is going to be rainbowized.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It makes you miss the rain or the sun. I'm not quite sure which one.
No, I miss the sun. I'm so cold. I'm so cold. And I had to leave my house today because I had to get milk because I ran out of milk because I've drank so much tea.
You were not late. That's all that matters. You were not stuck in traffic.
Yeah, no traffic. Okay. Yeah, finding the x-intercept in this one is tricky because of the fraction. That's a good place to get stuck. I mean, obviously no place to get stuck is a good place to get stuck, but of the places to get stuck, that is a very normal place to get stuck. Okay, I'm just gonna sort of. Zandasile, how can I help?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, at x-intercept, can you replace the x in front of the fraction? Can you replace it with the 0?
So when you're looking for the x-intercept, you want to make the y 0, not the x 0.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. It is a spicy one. It is spicy. Okay, so if you did this, give yourselves a tick. So finding your asymptote is 1 mark. And if you've labeled it, if you haven't labeled it, no tick. Okay. Next step is we want to find our y-intercept. Okay, so we're going to make x equal to 0, which means y is equal to 1 minus 8, which means y is equal to -7. So 0, -7. 0, -7. Sorry, there's writing here, so it's there we go. Okay. If you've done that, give yourselves a mark. But you have to have given me the coordinates as well. You can just write -7 next to it. I also would have given it to you. Okay. So let's read our instructions. If y is not 0, 0, y is not 0, 0, which means we can do step 3, then we can find the x-intercept. Okay, so now we're going to try and find our x-intercept. For our x-intercept, we need to make y equal to 0. So 0 is equal to 1/2 to the power of x minus 8. Okay. First step, we need to move that 8 over. So 8 is equal to 1/2 to the power of x. see how we're doing with this so far. So far, are we happy? Okay. Good. Now I'm going to try and go through this very slowly. Okay. We know we need to get our bases to be the same. So first step, how can I write 8 with a base of 2? How can I write 8 with a base of 2? So 2 to the power of what is going to give me 8? Good. 2 to the power of 3. Okay, that's a good start. So 2 to the power of 3 is the same as saying a half to the power of x. Okay. Now, this half is really ugly. It's in our way. Okay. How can I make that half to the power of x? How can I make it 2 to the power of something? What can I do? What sneaky trick can I do to make my life easier in this point? Flip it. Yes, beautiful. And when we flip it, we make the exponent negative. Okay, so I just want you to write something over here in your notes if you're writing. If you have x over y, and that's to the power of 1, that's the same as y over x to the power of negative 1. If we flip it, we have to make the exponent negative. Okay, so we can flip this and say 2 over 1, which is the same as just saying 2. It's the same, but we have to make our exponent negative. So we make our exponent negative x. So all we do is we flip it, we flip the fraction, and we make our exponent negative. So this is the important thing to have in your notes, is if you have a fraction and it's got an exponent, we can flip that fraction as long as the exponent becomes negative. Zama, how can I help?
Sorry, can I take a screenshot?
Yeah, you can take a screenshot whenever.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay. From here, now our bases are the same because they both have a base of 2, which means our exponents are the same, which means 3 is equal to negative x. So if 3 is equal to negative x, then that means that x is equal to negative 3. And so my coordinates will be negative 3 and 0. And then we just plot that. Exactly, divide by negative 1, negative 3 and 0. And then we draw in our little graph. Make sure his arms are nice. Oh, shame. Was there someone who was made to be in like the grade 7 class was chilling in this class? Shame, they must have been horribly lost. Okay, Mukukubale, where are you getting lost, sweetheart? How can I help? At which point did the wheels fall off the wagon? Let me try and zoom out so you guys can see everything at the same time. This part down here does get confusing, especially because we haven't seen something like that before, but it does, hopefully you'll start seeing it now. So just think about this rule over here. Now I've made that rule unclear with my rainbow bubble because I got too excited. There we go.
It's a very nice bubble. Guys, just remember that you're doing really well. And you know, it's normal to get some of the stuff wrong, and we can correct it as long as you show us at least some steps where you're getting wrong. And if you can't correct it by yourself, we are here to help you. And you can send me a direct message.
Okay, so those of you who are getting lost at the rainbow bubble stage, if I have, let's say 2 over 3, let's make it numbers. Well, let's say 2 over x. So I have 2 over x, and that's to the power of negative 2. Okay, that's exactly the same as if I flip that fraction to the power of 2. So we can flip things whenever we want to in a fraction, as long as the exponent changes either from negative to positive or positive to negative. That's where we go to from there. So I'm just going to go through this step of finding our x-intercept one more time for anyone who's feeling a little bit lost. Just going to go through this one more time, and then I'm going to give you one more graph to draw for tonight, and then we're going to have to call it quits for the evening because it's already 10:02. Okay, so for the y-intercept, we make y equal to 0. So we're going to say 0 is equal to, oh, I forgot our equation. There we go. A half to the power of x minus 8. Okay. First thing I want to do is I want to move my negative 8 over. So 8 is equal to a half to the power of x. We always want to, when we're in an exponential question, try and get things to their prime bases. And we can see that this is close to being a 2. So I'm going to make that 8, 2 to the power of 3 is equal to the half to the power of x. Now, because of this rule, we know we are allowed to flip that fraction as long as we make the exponent negative. So 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 2 over 1. I flipped my fraction, but then I need to make my exponent negative. Okay, 2 over 1 is the same as saying 2. So that's the same as saying 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 2 to the power of negative x. That's exactly the same thing. So as long as my bases are the same as each other, then my exponents will be the same as each other. And so I can say, therefore, 3 is equal to negative x. And then I just divide both sides by negative 1, or I move my x over, and I see that x is equal to negative 3. And so my coordinates will be negative 3 and 0. Exactly, 4 over 1 is exactly the same as 4. 8 over 1 is the same as 8. Because we're just saying, how many times does 1 go into 8? How many times does 1 go into 4? It goes 4 times or 8 times. This is the tricky bit over here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can take a screenshot, but I'm going to have to move on because we only have 9 minutes left. Our time just like goes away. Okay.
It flies really fast.
Crazy. I like literally, I don't even think of the time, and then I look at the time and I get a fright every single time I look at the time. Okay, so take a shot if you need one, and then I'm going to move on to our last question. Oh, it's your first time at Zoom. Okay, Alex, if you are feeling completely lost, that is normal. You're in a normal place, okay? You are on the last lesson of functions, which means we've been dealing with functions for a month now. Okay, so it's okay to be feeling lost. All of the videos are on the website, so you can always rewatch them and try and learn from there, and you will be okay. Okay. This is our last question for the night. It's not a terribly nasty one. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's not a super nasty one. Yeah, if you have questions, guys, I'll be here while you getting started on your quiz. You're welcome to ask while people get going on their quiz.
And the last question of the day.
Yeah. And then I'm taking my brain out of my body and I'm going to put it down to nap for a bit, and then I'll put it back in tomorrow morning. Yes, the asymptote is 1. Good start. Oh, my asymptote's always so messy. Okay, y equals 1. That's my asymptote. Oh, okay, so every Thursday there's a little quiz, and the quiz is based on the week's work. So the quiz tonight will be on exponential graphs, because that's what we did on Tuesday and what we're doing today. It's just between 5 and 10 questions, and yeah, it's all multiple choice. And then your parents will get sent the mark of your first attempt of the quiz. You can do the quiz multiple times, but your parents will get the first mark. Okay, so we found our asymptotes. Next step, we want to find our y-intercept. So we need to make x equal to 0. Oh no, what has happened? If our y-intercept is 0, 0, what is it forcing our hand to do? What is it forcing us to do? Canva, yes. What is it forcing us to do?
Let x equal to 0, man.
Oh,
to 1, to 1, to 1.
yes, there we go. Okay, if this is happening, it's forcing us to say let x equal to 1. Okay, we need an additional point. It's forcing us to do that. Those of you who got 2, just be careful. It's because you made this positive 1 and not negative 1, and that negative 4 makes it a negative 1. So I'm now going to make x equal to 1. So I'm going to say y is equal to negative 4 to the power of 1 plus 1, which means y is equal to negative 4 plus 1, y is equal to negative 3. So when x is 1, y is negative 3. When x is 1, y is negative 3. And then we just draw in our beautiful little graph. And we label 0, 0, 1, negative 3. And we're done. Okay. Yolanda is going to talk to you just now and get you to get onto the quiz and help you and send you the link. If you're wanting to ask a question, you're welcome to stay back and just put your hands up, and then we'll try and go through the questions once people have gotten the link and gotten onto the quiz. Okay. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a lovely weekend.
Yeah. Well done, guys. And we thank teacher Jenny for teaching us. It was nice. I learned a lot. So guys, you did really well. I'm posting the link now for everybody to grab it. So you grab the link. And those who wants to ask questions, now is your time. Like this, we can get it quick. So raise your hand and ask your questions, guys.
But well done to everyone. You did good work tonight, guys. Y squared plus x squared equals 25. X squared plus y squared equals 25. X squared plus y squared equals 25. Okay, so if you got x squared plus y squared is equal to 25, you'd have to say, is that all you were given? Were you not given another equation? Is that all you were given? You're most welcome, guys. Thank you for the thank yous. I do appreciate them. Yeah, okay, I will go back down. Sorry, someone wanted to see the results of the quiz. Here we go. Okay. For now the chat's like gone a bit cuckoo. For whoever asked me the x squared plus y squared equals 25, can you just let me know if that was the only one you were given or if you were given another equation with it? You're most welcome, Nati.
I can see.
Okay, so important. If that's all you were
Wow.
given, then oh, Kelly, well done, man. That's amazing. 92% for paper 1. Makes my heart so happy. Well done.
Wow, well done, Kelly. Sure.
So important, if you're looking at this question, basically, if they haven't given you another one, this is a level 4 question, but basically we can just do it by finding we can just substitute things in and sort of make our way through it. So like just choose numbers basically. If we, let's make x 3, for example. If x was 3, then it would be 3 squared, which is 9. And 25 minus 9 is going to give us 16. Okay, so we think, okay, cool. 16 is a square number. So I could say 3 squared and 4 squared. But basically, in this case, you would have to try and break up 25 into different ways and see what square numbers. So you could have like 1 plus 24. neither 24 is not a square number. You could have 2 plus 23. 23 is not a square number. You could have 3 plus 22. 22 and 3 are not a square number. So basically, you would make your way through your numbers until both of them are square numbers. So like that's a square number, that's a square number. 5 plus 20, 6 plus, and you'd keep on going until you get to the ones where they're both square. It would just be like a thinking question.
I look at this question and I'm thinking of circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's where they would be grabbing it from. It's from a circle. So this equation would fall under it would just fall under normal equation work, but it would be a like a level 4 question. Good luck for rugby on Saturday, Kevin. I hope it goes well. It's okay if you got 2 wrong. It's fine. What's this question? My graph, 2x squared plus 2 and g on the same set of axes. Okay, so if we have, so y is equal to 2x squared plus 2, and then, so let's just quickly graph that out. And y is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, so this one over here is just a straight line graph. So find your x-intercept and find your y-intercept. Your x-intercept when y is 0, so 0 is equal to 2x plus 1, which means negative 1 equals 2x. And so x is equal to negative 1 over 2. So negative 1 over 2, so like there, negative a half. And your y-intercept is this guy over here. So that's 1. And you can just draw in that line. That's y equals 2x plus 1. And then this dude over here, we've got our y-intercept is 2, and its a is positive, which means it's a happy parabola. My parabola is too short. So it would look something like that. That's what those 2 graphs would look like. Mokokobale, if you are still around, I'd love to hear the end of what your question was of what we started at the beginning of the lesson before I had to go. Or before I had to start teaching, if you're still around. I don't know if you're still around. You might be doing the quiz. Ah, there you are. Okay. Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if, I don't know if I've still got it up here. Did I? Yeah, okay. So I really am unsure where your teacher would have had an issue, but can you just double check for me? Does it look exactly like this? Does it say y is equal to 2x squared minus 8?
Exactly like that, ma'am, because he even asked me to explain it to the whole class, and I did that.
Okay, but sweetheart, you're right. You are 100% correct.
So, ma'am, he said that at the end I should write, can I just check in my
Yeah,
book?
sure. You can definitely check in your book. You're most welcome to everyone in the chat who's saying thank you. Yolanda, if you are, I know you've got kids. If you're wanting to end the recording and head off, that's also okay.
Okay, thank you.
See you
Bye,
on Tuesday.
everybody. Bye.
So, ma'am, you see where we ended by saying x is equals to positive or negative 2.
Yeah.
He ended there, and then he said I should write x minus 2 is equals to 0, or x plus 2 is equals to 0, and then I must say x is equals to 2, or x is equals to negative 2, and then say in brackets I must write
2, 0,
2.
negative 2, 0.
Yes, ma'am. He said that if I don't write it like that, he's gonna mark it incorrect.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So, okay. I'm trying to think of how to say this nicely. You are not wrong. That is what I'm going to say. But some teachers are very determined to mark things a very specific way. And we have to just do what they say until we get to the end point, basically. If you were in matric and you were writing this paper, you did what you did, and you drew your graph like that, you would get 10 out of 10. You would get 100%. Okay. So I'm very happy with what you've done. If your teacher is being very specific about what he's wanting, that's his right, it's his classroom. And so all
Yes,
he's saying is that this section over here is, you remember when we did quadratic equations a while ago? He's
Yes, ma'am.
basically wanting you to just write out those steps. So he's wanting you to say that this bracket, x plus 2 is equal to 0, and this bracket, x minus 2 is equal to 0, which means x is equal to -2 and x is equal to 2. And so then the coordinates will be -2 and 0 and 2 and 0.
Yes, ma'am.
But-
He said the full
yeah.
equation like
Okay.
that. If I don't get it like that, I won't get a total.
If they ask in the question for the x intercept coordinates, for
Yes,
example,
ma'am.
if they say those words in the question, then we have to show these two things in these two brackets. If they ask for the sets of coordinates, if they just ask you to sketch the graph, then this is perfect.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
But just be careful, like if your teacher's wanting you to be specific with that, just do what he says, because there's no point in losing marks to win a fight, which is, he's always going to win. Do you know what I mean? So like, just
Yes,
do the
ma'am,
way
I
he's going to
understand.
mark. And then when we get to matric, I'm happy with what you've done.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Have a
Bye,
good
ma'am.
evening.
Likewise, ma'am.
Okay, guys, we are going to end it there. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye. Oh, Zama, yeah, can I help?
Yes, ma'am, I wanted to ask if is it possible to put a square root to solve for x?
Yes, you can. But you just need to remember to have the plus and minus when you do the square root way.
Uh-huh.
So for example, if you were looking at this question, if I had 0 equals 2x squared minus 8, you can move your 8
Yeah.
over. Then you can divide both sides by 2. So 4 is equal
Oh,
to
they
x
can
squared. But then when you square root that, you have to have plus or minus.
Oh, plus or minus, yes.
Yeah. And if you don't have that plus or minus, then there's a problem.
Oops. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay, bye guys.